because he's not very intelligent and undoubtedly remains damaged by the early death of his mother, Diana. And he very foolishly blames the media for her, in his words, murdered her, which is complete nonsense.
Prince Harry's life has always been under intense scrutiny, but recent events have pushed him into a new level of stress and uncertainty. The latest controversy centers around claims made by Tom Bower, a well-known royal biographer who has built his career exposing secrets about the powerful. Bower has made headlines again by raising questions about the Sussex family, particularly focusing on the children, Archie and Lilibet, and the timelines surrounding their births. For Harry, who grew up in the public eye and suffered the traumatic loss of his mother, Princess Diana, this situation is deeply personal. From a young age, he learned that privacy was a luxury he could rarely afford, and now, decades later, he faces a similar challenge with his own family. Harry and Meghan Markle had promised themselves and the world that their children would be shielded from the kind of attention that caused so much pain in his childhood. They moved to California, built a life away from the royal spotlight, and tried to manage their exposure very carefully. But Bower's investigation threatens to disrupt that plan entirely. The claims and alleged leaks have sparked a debate online, in the media, and among royal watchers worldwide, forcing the couple into the uncomfortable position of defending their choices while under constant observation. At the heart of the controversy are questions about the timeline of births, hospital announcements, and the circumstances surrounding Lilibet's arrival. According to Bower, there are inconsistencies that the public has never been fully informed about. He points to timelines that shifted, announcements that were delayed or inconsistent, and photos that seem to contradict official statements. While any normal family might treat such details as private matters, the Sussex family occupies a unique position. Being sixth and seventh in line to the British throne carries responsibilities and public interest that most people will never experience. This means that questions about lineage, timing, and transparency are not just curiosity, they are matters of public concern. Critics argue that these inconsistencies raise serious questions about the narrative presented to the public, while supporters insist that privacy and safety should remain the top priority. The debate also touches on Meghan Markle's past and her motivations. Bower claims that her focus has always been financial security and social status, though this is disputed and strongly denied by Meghan and her team. According to Bower, she may have expected a different level of wealth or status from the marriage, and had to adjust once she realized the financial realities of post-royal life. The couple's deals with Netflix, Spotify, and other media outlets have become a central point of discussion in this controversy. Some critics argue that monetizing their family story while claiming to protect their children creates a contradiction, making privacy claims appear selective or strategic rather than genuine. On the other hand, supporters of Harry and Meghan say these deals are necessary for financial independence, especially after leaving the royal institution. While the media and public debate this, Harry reportedly feels trapped and anxious, monitoring every development online. Friends describe him as being glued to his phone, watching news, YouTube videos, and social media commentary, trying to understand the scale of the controversy. The constant scrutiny has reportedly created tension in Montecito, their California home, where sources suggest an atmosphere of stress and concern dominates. Meanwhile, Meghan is described as taking a more strategic and controlled approach, focusing on legal responses, managing communications. The pressure affects not just the couple, but also the perception of the royal family. The palace has remained mostly silent, with no public statements from King Charles or other senior members regarding this situation. This silence contrasts sharply with the visibility of William and Catherine's children, who appear frequently in public events, royal ceremonies, and media coverage. The lack of engagement from the monarchy has fueled speculation that the institution is deliberately maintaining distance, potentially to protect itself from any fallout. This creates a complex dynamic where the Sussexes must navigate not only media scrutiny, but also the expectations and silence of the royal family. At the same time, Bauer's reputation as a meticulous investigator adds weight to his claims. He has a history of publishing detailed biographies that uncover uncomfortable truths about well-known figures, and his work often prompts public debate. The fact that he has turned his attention to the Sussex family adds credibility in the eyes of some, while others remain skeptical of his conclusions. For viewers, the situation presents a mixture of intrigue, tension, and concern. The questions raised about transparency, family privacy, and media management resonate with anyone following the saga, and the public debate is amplified by social media platforms, video breakdowns, and extensive online commentary. The combination of Bauer's allegations, the couple's media presence, and the public's fascination with royal life has created a perfect storm that continues to grow in intensity. One of the central points in this story is the tension between privacy and transparency. Harry and Meghan have consistently emphasized that they want to protect Archie and Lilibet from unnecessary media exposure. They argue that their children deserve to grow up away from constant public scrutiny. From their perspective, controlling the narrative about their family helps maintain safety and normalcy. However, critics see this differently. They argue that, as members of the royal family, even former working royals like Harry and Meghan have obligations to maintain a level of transparency about events that affect succession, lineage, and public interest. The perceived contradictions between claiming privacy while also monetizing the family story through documentaries, interviews, and media appearances raise questions for observers. For example, the Netflix documentaries show glimpses of family life, pregnancy updates, and other personal details, yet the couple insists that their children remain protected from public exposure. Critics suggest that these selective disclosures serve branding and financial purposes, which can undermine the claims of privacy. From a psychological perspective, Harry's response to this scrutiny has been described as intense and overwhelming. Friends and sources report that he monitors media coverage constantly, paying attention to every development. The stress appears to affect his daily life, including his sleep, interactions with staff, and overall sense of calm. In contrast, Meghan is portrayed as strategic and methodical, focused on legal recourse and controlled communications. This difference in coping styles may contribute to tension between the couple, as each navigates the public and private aspects of their lives differently. At the same time, the public and media have expanded the debate beyond the couple to include broader discussions about the monarchy. The silence from King Charles and senior advisors adds another layer of intrigue. Observers speculate whether this distance is a deliberate strategy to protect the institution from controversy or a form of indirect pressure on the Sussexes. Comparisons to William and Catherine's family highlight the contrast in public presence and transparency. The situation also raises questions about the role of media and investigative journalists in uncovering and reporting private family matters. Bauer's work demonstrates the power of thorough research and documentation, as he claims to have interviewed dozens of sources to construct his narrative. Whether his claims are accurate or disputed, they have captured global attention, illustrating how public interest in royal matters remains high. Another key element in this controversy is the discussion of timelines and medical details surrounding Archie and Lilibet's births. Bauer highlights inconsistencies in public statements, hospital announcements, and photo releases. While some of these details may seem minor to the general public, they are magnified in the context of royal succession and historical record. Critics argue that even small discrepancies matter, as they relate to legitimacy, inheritance, and constitutional significance. Meanwhile, supporters of Harry and Meghan insist that any inconsistencies are innocent, or the result of privacy considerations. The controversy also touches on Meghan's pre-royal life, her previous relationships, and her motivations for marrying Harry. Bauer claims that financial considerations played a role, though this remains heavily disputed. These discussions are often amplified online, where fans, critics, and media personalities analyze every claim, photograph, and interview. Social media platforms have become central to how this story unfolds, with hashtags, video breakdowns, and discussion threads creating a continuous cycle of speculation and commentary. The combination of public interest, media coverage, and investigative reporting has created a situation where the Sussexes must manage multiple pressures simultaneously. They face scrutiny from the public, criticism from observers, and legal challenges in response to investigative claims. At the same time, they must maintain the well-being and privacy of their children, balancing their own mental health and family responsibilities with the demands of public life. Another significant point is the question of security. Harry has consistently cited security concerns as a reason for limiting travel to the UK and controlling public exposure. Yet critics point out that living in California and appearing at public events seems to contradict claims of extreme risk. This raises additional questions about the balance between genuine safety concerns and media strategy. The public debate is further complicated by historical context. Harry's experiences as the second son, growing up in the shadow of the monarchy, and coping with the death of Princess Diana continue to shape perceptions of his actions. Observers note that his efforts to shield his children are influenced by both personal trauma and a desire to protect them from similar scrutiny. Meanwhile, the broader media landscape continues to fuel the conversation, with journalists, YouTubers, TikTok creators, and bloggers dissecting every detail. The story has expanded globally, engaging audiences far beyond the UK, highlighting the enduring fascination with royal life and the intersection of celebrity, privacy, and family dynamics. The final aspect of this unfolding situation involves the long-term consequences for Harry, Meghan, and their children. The way this controversy resolves, or fails to resolve, could affect not only their immediate public perception, but also historical records and the legacy of their family. Historians and future biographers may analyze these events, examining the decisions made, the transparency provided, and the responses to investigative claims. The stakes are high because they extend beyond media attention to issues of succession, titles, and constitutional relevance. One scenario is that Harry and Meghan choose full transparency. This would involve releasing documents, providing clear timelines, and addressing inconsistencies directly. While this approach may feel invasive or uncomfortable, it could quell speculation and restore public trust. Another scenario is continuing strategic silence, relying on legal threats and selective media engagement to control the narrative. While this may protect privacy in the short term, it risks prolonging controversy, feeding suspicion, and creating a narrative of secrecy. A middle approach might involve partial disclosure, offering enough clarity to address public concern while protecting the children's privacy. This requires careful communication, credibility, and skill to thread the line between transparency and family protection. The couple's decisions will also affect their relationship with the palace. Continued ambiguity may lead senior advisors to intervene behind the scenes to protect the institution's reputation and prevent constitutional complications. This adds pressure from multiple directions: public scrutiny, media coverage, institutional expectations, and family dynamics. Meanwhile, the children, Archie and Lilibet, remain at the center of this story. Despite their innocence and lack of choice in the situation, they are inevitably affected by media attention, public debate, and the handling of their private lives. Any continued ambiguity or controversy has the potential to influence how they perceive their own identities and family history. Experts suggest that clear communication and transparency could protect them from lasting negative effects. financial considerations also play a role. The couple's media deals, including Netflix and other contracts, have been a source of income, but also a source of criticism. Monetizing personal and family stories while claiming privacy can create tension and perceptions of inconsistency. Critics argue that this approach complicates the narrative and fuels skepticism. On the other hand, supporters contend that financial independence is essential for the couple after stepping away from royal responsibilities. The balance between financial necessity, media strategy, and family protection is delicate and requires careful navigation. At the same time, the broader cultural conversation about privacy, media responsibility, and the rights of children in the public eye is ongoing. The Sussex case illustrates the challenges faced by modern public figures in balancing personal well-being, family protection, and public expectations. It also highlights the complexities of fame, historical legacy, and the responsibilities associated with royal status. Ultimately, this story is not just about Harry and Meghan, but about how society engages with power, privilege, and the rights of children. It raises questions about transparency, accountability, and the consequences of public exposure. For viewers, it is both a captivating narrative and a cautionary tale about the pressures of public life. As the situation develops, audiences are encouraged to consider multiple perspectives, recognize the human impact on the family, and understand the broader implications for institutions like the monarchy. This ongoing saga reminds us that being born into privilege and historical significance comes with challenges that ordinary families rarely face, and the choices made now will shape perceptions for decades to come. As the story continues to unfold, one of the most critical aspects is the question of public perception versus private reality. For Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, the way the world sees them has always been a complicated balance between media narratives, personal choices, and historical context. Ever since Harry stepped away from his official royal duties, every move he makes has been interpreted, analyzed, and debated across global media. Now, with Tom Bower's latest claims and alleged leaked photos concerning Lilibet, the Sussexes face a heightened level of scrutiny that touches on personal, financial, and constitutional matters all at once. The issue of privacy remains central to the controversy. Harry and Meghan have repeatedly insisted that their children should be shielded from media intrusion. They argue that being in the public eye should not force them to expose every moment of their children's lives. But critics see contradictions. On one hand, the couple emphasizes privacy and protection. On the other, they engage in media projects such as Netflix documentaries and public interviews, which showcase glimpses of their family life. These selective exposures lead to questions about whether the children's presence in media content is truly for storytelling, or whether it serves as part of a financial strategy. According to some commentators, this dual approach creates tension between ethical parenting, public accountability, and business interests. The debate is further complicated by historical and institutional considerations. As members of the royal family, Harry and Meghan's decisions are not just personal, they carry broader implications. Questions about the legitimacy of succession, timing of births, and public documentation are matters of state interest, not simply curiosity. For this reason, even small inconsistencies in birth announcements or hospital timelines are magnified in the public sphere. Bower's investigation emphasizes these points, suggesting that the public record is incomplete or contradictory. While supporters of the Sussexes argue that privacy and safety justify discretion, critics insist that transparency is necessary to maintain trust and credibility. The couple's reactions to this pressure have been described as contrasting approaches to stress. Sources close to Harry suggest that he experiences anxiety and restlessness, frequently checking news updates, social media threads, and online videos analyzing every detail of the controversy. This constant monitoring reportedly affects his ability to relax or focus on family life. Meghan, by contrast, is said to adopt a more controlled and tactical approach, relying on legal teams, strategic communications, and measured responses to media inquiries. This difference in coping strategies may create tension between the two, as each navigates the demands of public life and private family protection differently. Meanwhile, the palace has remained largely silent, which has added another layer to the story. King Charles and senior advisors have not publicly addressed the controversy, a stance that contrasts with the visibility of William and Catherine's children, who participate regularly in royal events and public appearances. Observers speculate that this silence may be a deliberate strategy to shield the monarchy from fallout, while allowing the Sussexes to handle their own narrative. If true, it demonstrates the monarchy's long-term planning and understanding of media dynamics. But it also creates uncertainty for the public, leaving space for speculation, interpretation, and debate. One of the most debated points in this controversy involves the alleged inconsistencies in the timeline of births and public announcements. According to Bauer, some hospital announcements were delayed or presented differently than expected, and photos sometimes seemed inconsistent with official statements. While these details might seem minor in a typical family context, they become amplified in the royal environment, where lineage, succession, and historical record carry weight. The public fascination with these details stems from both curiosity and the constitutional significance of royal births. Critics argue that even slight ambiguity invites doubt, speculation, and mistrust. Supporters, on the other hand, insist that privacy should outweigh public curiosity, particularly for children who did not choose to be in the spotlight. Another layer of complexity involves Meghan's pre-royal life, including previous relationships, her career, and public image. Bauer claims that financial considerations were a key motivator in her marriage to Harry, though these claims are disputed and strongly denied by the Sussex camp. This aspect of the story raises broader questions about how media narratives shape public perception and how rumors, claims, and investigative reports influence the reputation of public figures. Social media amplifies this effect, with millions of users analyzing, debating, and reacting to every development. From YouTube video breakdowns to TikTok commentary, the controversy spreads rapidly, leaving little room for private resolution. Harry and Meghan must navigate this media landscape carefully, balancing public perception, legal considerations, and the well-being of their children. Financial matters also play a crucial role in the story. The couple's deals with Netflix, Spotify, and other platforms have provided financial independence, yet they also introduce criticism. Monetizing personal and family experiences while claiming privacy raises questions about ethics, branding, and strategic communication. Critics argue that selective exposure for profit undermines credibility, while supporters counter that financial autonomy is necessary after leaving royal duties. These financial dynamics, combined with media scrutiny and family responsibilities, create immense pressure on both Harry and Meghan, challenging their ability to manage the situation effectively. Security is another key consideration. Harry has frequently cited safety concerns as a reason for avoiding extended stays in the UK and for limiting public exposure. Yet critics point to California's public environment, where paparazzi are prevalent and the family is visible at events, as evidence that safety claims may be selective. This fuels debate over whether the primary motivation is security, media control, or strategic management of public perception. Observers also note that the situation has psychological and emotional impacts on Harry and Meghan. Growing up in the shadow of the monarchy, facing media intrusion and coping with personal trauma continue to shape their actions and decisions. The pressure is compounded by ongoing debates over transparency, privacy, and public responsibility, placing extraordinary demands on the couple's resilience. Ultimately, This situation is about more than one family. It reflects broader societal questions about privacy, media ethics, financial independence, and the balance between personal well-being and public accountability. How the Sussexes navigate these challenges will affect not only their immediate lives, but also the historical record, future perceptions, and the legacy they leave for Archie and Lilibet. The children, innocent in all of this, face exposure and potential scrutiny simply due to their position in the royal hierarchy. Long-term effects on their perception of privacy, family, and public attention are a serious consideration. The choices Harry and Meghan make now could shape how their children experience the world, interact with media, and understand their own identities. As public debate continues, the pressure builds. Each day brings new speculation, media analysis, and commentary, creating a relentless cycle of attention and scrutiny. The combination of media pressure, social media amplification, and institutional silence has created a unique environment where every action is analyzed and every decision carries weight. For audiences, the situation is both captivating and troubling, combining intrigue, human drama, and questions about responsibility, transparency, and privacy. Ultimately, the unfolding story of Harry, Meghan, and their children is a study in the challenges of modern fame, historical legacy, and family protection. It illustrates the delicate balance between public interest and personal privacy, the consequences of media exposure, and the complexities of navigating life in the public eye. The narrative is far from over, and each new claim, statement, or revelation adds another layer to the story, ensuring that audiences remain engaged and invested in the saga as it continues to develop. The decisions made in the coming months and years will not only shape the couple's current situation, but also leave a lasting impact on the perception of their family, the monarchy, and the responsibilities of public life for future generations.